Good morning, team, and welcome to episode 11 of Self-Reflection Sunday. So, thank you very much for joining me. If you're joining me live, please make sure you let me know where you're joining me from. Very interested to know. If you're watching the recording, please also comment below. So, as the title says, I will be reviewing the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is a New York best-selling book. So very popular. You may have heard of it. If you have read it, please let me know. I'd be very interested to know what you thought of the book. So if you would like to know what I believe of the book, please view this. And I'm going to give you 6 key takeaways that I got from the book specifically. Because obviously there's 9 chapters, there's a lot to process, a lot of good points in there, but I took away 6 really good ones that I thought were probably the most valuable out of all of it. Some of them a bit broad, some are very specific, and I want to go through them with you now. So let me just grab my notebook and make sure that I get all the points that I want to get across, because it's very important that I make sure that I get the points across to the... Come on. All right, here we go. So, a little caveat. I get the whole premise behind it, the subtle art, he unfortunately swears too much in my opinion. I enjoy a good swear word every now and then, but when you over-exaggerate it, and I get that's the whole point, it personally it annoys me a little bit. I don't think you need to do it necessarily, but it's just my personal opinion about it. Okay, and with that being said, the point number 1 is the subtle art of not giving a fuck. So that simply what he puts throughout the book is you only have so many fucks to give. So you really want to choose where you give them. Now he uses a lot of examples in the book, and I think throughout our life there's probably plenty of times that we can think about that we go, I really shouldn't have cared so much about that because it was very meaningless after the fact. At the point, maybe in the moment, it's very important for whatever reason, but then from then on, it isn't really that useful, and we really invest our time, our energy into it, and there was no point. So you've got to really choose what you give a fuck about, and you may see the title and think, oh, so he's sort of telling you to not care about anything and being very like a Buddhist and, just denouncing everything, don't worry about anything. No, it's talking about not caring about the little things that aren't really going to make a difference. And another way of putting it is controlling the controllables. So if you can't control it, don't worry about it, the weather, everyone else's reaction to stuff. If you can't control those things, don't worry about them. That's a really big point, I think, that is very important to try and get across, and that's what he tries to get across in the book. He does a very good job of it. Okay, so that's point 1. How and where to give your fucks. Where do you give them? Point number 2. Do you enjoy the journey or just want the destination? Now, this is very relevant in my world, in the fitness industry, but he gave a very good example. So he talked about wanting to be a rock star. He envisioned it, being on stage. He did play guitar, and, he really wanted, that was the dream, be like the superstars out there and do all of that. However, he then came to the realization that he didn't really want that because he didn't enjoy the journey. He didn't want to do all the practicing. He didn't want to do all of the hours that you've got to do, all the gigs that you've got to do, all the going toing and fromming, and what comes with building a successful band to become this rock star. some like Metallica or something like that, you know, a really big, well-known, the Beatles. He uses examples like this in the book. So, you know, he just wanted that destination, and he really didn't love the process, or, you know, the journey, if you will. So, in the fitness industry, obviously I find this quite a lot. You know, people want a six-pack. This is just a perfect example. Everyone wants a six-pack. And if I could, you know, hold out a pill and say, this will give you a six-pack, do you want it? Oh, of course, give me the pill. Of course, take it. But if I say, on the other hand, how you actually have got to do that is you've got to be really strict on your nutrition, really good in your recovery, as well as train quite hard. You know, all of those factors. It's not just training hard. It's not just nutrition. They're very much in hand, and then also recovery, and you know, genetics plays a big part, and of course time. It takes a long time. It takes, you know, potentially, depending on where you're at, you know, a couple of months. So, you know, do you want the destination, or do you want do you just want the destination, and are you willing to take that journey? You know, so is that what you want? A perfect example for myself would be doing jiu-jitsu. Hell, I want a black belt, and if someone again said, here's a pill and you'll just become a black belt, geez, wouldn't you take it? But I'm willing to invest in the journey, even though at the moment it's bloody hard. It's really hard, to be honest. I'm getting beaten up, just literally beaten up in the white belt class, because I don't know that much. I've been doing it for 6 weeks. I don't know shit. So, you know, the journey is much a part of it. Hey, Jared, how you going? Thanks for joining me, mate, from the US of A. So good book for you. I'm sure you've probably read it. Jared, you're a bit of a bookworm. You like a book or two. If you have, let me know. So just to revise, the first point is how to not give a fuck, and where to give your fucks. The second point is, do you enjoy the journey, or do you just want the destination? Very important, very important. You know. Okay, point three. Values. This is a very big point that he honed in the book. I think it's chapter 4 around about. And he talks about good values versus bad values, and how that can really, you know, dictate how many fucks you give. Because if you've got a bad set of values, you're going to chase those values, and because of that, you're going to do things that you probably aren't happy with. That's good. I'm glad you like it, Jared. Good to hear. Good to hear. So there's some bad values that he illustrates, and I'm sure we know this, but, you know, pleasure. So chasing pleasure, because, of course, we chase that, and then once we get it, we then need another one, and then we need another one, and it's just never ending. So then materialistic success. So being like, oh, need the house, need the car, need the good job. These are good things to chase, but not in that way. Because what happens when you get there? It's called a midlife crisis, because you get the car, you get the house, you get the good job. And then because that's what you've built towards, once you get it, then what? You know, then you want more because it's not big enough, you know, and then you want a bigger house, better car, better job, so on and so on and so on. And another one is always being right. That's another bad value, always being right. So then he talks about what are good values. What are good values? Honesty, self-respect, obviously, humility, self-improvement. And the biggest thing is, you notice with all of these, they're very intrinsical. They're very about you, not about outside factors. It's things that you can control. Can you be honest? Yeah. Can you have self-respect? Yes. You know, can you work on self-improvement? Yes. And, you know, it doesn't matter at what stage you're at in your life, you can do all of those things. You could have the house, the car, the job, and you could still be honest, have self-respect, and be working on self-improvement. And then you'll probably find that you'll be much happier with those things. And unfortunately, in Western society, we do often chase those things. We do chase those things. A big thing that, my parents always talk about, you got to get the good job so that you can get the house and so on and so forth. And it is true, yes, that is very helpful with those things, but, if that's how you measure your success, you will not be happy, I guarantee you. So good values versus bad values. So pick good values, very intrinsically motivated, very internal about you, things that you can control, so forth. Point four, we're moving on. Point 4, very important. I really like this point. Hard decisions, easy life. Easy decisions, hard life. Now, what does that mean? So making the hard decisions, they could be being honest, saying no to certain things that you really want to do because it's going to give you some instant gratification where you would prefer long-term gratification. So let's bring it to the fitness world. So it's much easier to say no to a workout because workouts can be and should be hard, but the delayed gratification and the good life that will come because of those workouts is much more worth it. We all know that if we exercise and eat right, we're going to have an easy life. But it's easier in the moment to say yes to, maybe not the best food, maybe not the best lifestyle, and then also maybe saying no to exercise because exercise can be hard. You maybe don't enjoy it. But on the flip side, what if we make those hard decisions and say, yes, I'm going to exercise 4 to 5 times a week. You make that decision. That's hard. You've got to get up. You've got to go to the gym. You've got to work out. You've got to sweat. You've got to work. And then you've got to make healthy choices throughout the day. You've got to say no to things. Hard decisions. You've got to say no to things. You've got to say yes to the good things. And of course, again, in moderation, all those good things. But that's the point. And that will make your life easier over the long run. Hey Jess, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me. I don't know if you've read this book, mate, but I think you'd enjoy it as well. If you have, let me know. So we can see there it's pretty easy to understand that. And this is one thing that I really, really recommend. And, I've been making some hard choices over the past few months. And, now I find my life much easier. At the time, oh man, hard. But I knew the decisions I was making were going to be better in the long run. And of course, hey, I slipped back into old habits. We always do. We're always going to make some easy decisions there. But again, I think it's the 80-20 rule. If you're doing it 80% of the time, making those hard decisions, you're going to have, the best life that you'd like to live. So just to recap, point 1 was the subtle art of not giving a fuck. So where to give your fucks? Because you only have so many. Do you enjoy the journey or just want the destination? That was point 2. And then point 3 was values. Making sure that you have good values. And point 4 was those hard decisions, easy life, or easy decision, hard life. Important. Really got to make those hard decisions, team. Number 5. This is something I've found extremely beneficial over the past few weeks. And that is action equals motivation, which equals inspiration, and then that creates a loop, because then that creates more action, then that creates more motivation, that creates more inspiration. It's just never ending. And unfortunately, what a lot of us do, myself included, is we wait for motivation. We wait until we're motivated enough to do something. That could be whatever. Again, I use a lot of examples of being about fitness because I'm a coach. That's what I do. So we wait for motivation to go to the gym, to work out, to start changing our diet, etc. Motivation is fleeting and it will run out. The thing that you must do, team, is take action, because that will create motivation. And then in turn, that will create inspiration. You'll be inspired by what you're doing. So then you'll take more action. Perfect example. Lately, I've been trying to write more posts, more blogs, those types of things. Because I often think about things and be like, oh, that'd be good, I should write that down. And it's no good to me in my head. And I often just then think about it, rule about it, and then it doesn't do anything. So I know that I should get it out, because then if I get it out, I can decide whether it's good or bad, and whether it should be published or not, whether I could use it or not. So what I've been doing, hey James, thanks for joining me. What I've been doing is making sure that I take action. When I think of something, I start writing it down. And I've been doing that so much that now, when I do think of something, I instantly write it down. Where in the past, I would wait for motivation to write it down. But now, I do action. I do that action. And then guess what? I write some stuff down, and then I write a little bit more, and then a bit more. And then maybe I stop, and then I'm doing something else, generally in the shower or washing the dishes, something like that. Think of something else, boom, stop, go right. I go right straight away, get it out of my head. And I find that I have a lot of inspiration then. And it's just this never-ending loop. It's fantastic. It's so good. It's so helpful. I've been writing so much more because of it. And again, that translated as well into, that's actually helped me train more, because, I struggle with it too. I know that the training session's going to be hard. So, I start trying to make up excuses in my own head. I get that negative feedback loop, and then I just take action. And then guess what? Creates motivation. I work harder. I'm then inspired to work out again later, another day. It's fantastic. That is how you will win, team, by taking action. Don't wait, take action. That's point 5. And then point 6, probably the most relevant point, and the last chapter in the book, chapter 9, is then we die. I know, right? Pretty morbid. But it is a reality. Death is inevitable, team. Death is inevitable. No matter how hard you try, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Unfortunately, I had this conversation with a good friend of mine, and he was talking about in Western society, we are afraid of death. And he does mention that in the book, in the old book. He does mention that, that we are worried about death. I'm worried about dying. So that means that I want to ensure that I live, because I don't want my life to be a waste, And a lot of people always say, hey, go to a nursing home and speak to the elderly in there and see what they say. And they'll generally be pretty, talking about regret. And I would encourage you to do that. I had the opportunity to do that when I was at school, because I went to a religious school. They were very big on giving back to the community. It was fantastic. So we went around and we went to old folks' homes. We went to the elderly's houses, and we just hung out with them, because they get lonely, and that's fair enough. But they knew what was coming. They were in there. They were getting on, so they knew what was coming. So, because you are going to die, there's no reason why you shouldn't live. So that's what I want to, impress on you. Hey, it brings the mood right down, but it is a reality, and we can try and avoid it. We can try and pretend it's not real, but it's going to happen, team. It is going to happen. So, the big point he talks about is, what mark are you going to leave on the world? His name is Mark. It's quite funny. His mark will be that he wrote a book, and yours doesn't necessarily need to be that, but how are you going to impact people? I'm trying to impact people this way, through health, through fitness, and hopefully I will. Hopefully people, after I pass away, I'll go, oh man, Jono, he really inspired me to take action because of, what he talked about. Good old coach. And hopefully that's how I'll do it, And the way I'm going to do that is by Facebook Lives, sharing my opinion, sharing my views, ensuring people do live a healthy, active lifestyle. Being active myself so I can have an easy life, because we know hard decisions, easy life. So then I can be an inspiration to other people to take action. It all comes back to the same thing, team. All comes back to the same team. So, just to go over what we've talked about. Book review, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I recommend it. I recommend a good book. But take everything with a grain of salt. We always take it with a grain of salt. Thanks for the love, Jared. I appreciate it. If you're enjoying this, please do give me some love. Give me some thumbs up. It's always important to know that you are enjoying this and I'm not just talking to the camera. So please do make sure that you give it those thumbs up, give us some hearts. But I just want to review before we finish up. Almost done. So the 6 points, team, from The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is that the subtle art of not giving a fuck. You only have so many fucks to give, team. So where are you going to give them? Are you going to give them in traffic? Someone cuts you off and then you're, oh boy, pisses me off too. But what is giving a fuck about going to do in that situation? Nothing. Nothing. So don't give it. Point number 2. Do you enjoy the journey? Or do you just want the destination? Do you actually want that? Or do you just want the end piece? You just want the 6-pack. You don't want and love the process of getting the 6-pack. Or, in his example, Mark's example, being the rock star. You don't want the process of, practicing, going through broken strings, going to gigs where 4 people rock up, so on. Point 3, values. Making sure that you have good intrinsic values, internal values that you can control. Very important, team, very important. Point 4, hard decisions, easy life. Or easy decisions, hard life. Making sure that we make those hard decisions, team. It's important. It's very important. And you'll see, start making some hard decisions. See how much easier your life is. Then the action, motivation, inspiration loop. Very important. If we take action, that will create motivation. From that, we get inspired. And because we have inspiration, we take more action. It's a pretty obvious, team. It's a loop. It's just going around. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for motivation, team. Just take that action. And then, point 6, the most relevant one is then we die. Death is inevitable, so get busy living. All right, team, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed reading this book again. I listened to it over audio as well. So I highly recommend it. If you have enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you believe that there's someone out there that could benefit from it, make sure you tag them in. Make sure you share it with them. It'd be really appreciated. Or not, I don't give a fuck. See what I did there? No, I do actually care because I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the right sort of stuff. If you don't like this, I won't do it because I want to try and provide what you're enjoying. So enjoy your Sundays, team. Reflect a little bit and have a great rest of the week. Thanks, team.